We've all heard remarkable stories of people who found family members they never knew existed thanks to direct-to-consumer genetic tests. Now, the market for these products is booming. Joining us today is Dr. Gail Vance from College of American Pathologists. Gail, thanks so much for joining us. Now, we all know the great things that can come out of this type of testing. What are some downsides to it?
Well, thank you for this interview. Yes, I'm here in Chicago at the CAP meeting. We've been talking about this. The one thing that, and as you said, direct-to-consumer testing is becoming more and more popular. So it's important for people to understand whatever testing company they're using, what they will find out and what they won't find out, what they want to know and what they don't want to know. So the downsides could be that they get a health result that they don't want to know. So it's important before doing the testing to understand, again, what the test will do and what the test won't do. Most of these tests will assess your ancestry. They could assess your physical traits, body, hair, but they also do have health-related tests that are available through these companies. The other thing that's important to know is that the testing is done in a laboratory that is CLIA certified or CAP, College of American Pathologists accredited. Then the consumer can know for sure that it's being done accurately and follows the standards set by the law. And then, as I was saying, if they get a health-related test result, then it's important to have that test result interpreted in the context of their personal and family history and with a healthcare professional.
I think one of the biggest questions that people face when they are coming across these types of testing is how secure is it?
Yeah, that is a concern. It's been a concern with genetic testing from the day we started doing this, confidentiality. With the direct-to-consumer testing, what it's important to know is that the government sets standards for what information can be released. But more importantly, the onus is on the consumer to go to the website for which they're sending their DNA and understand just what they're going to do with those test results. Are they only going to release them to the website? Are they going to use them for research? Are they going to release them to insurance companies? That's important for you to know before you do the testing.
Now, some of our viewers may be doing their research, with the different companies. So where can we find more information to help them out a little bit?
Well, you can come to see me. I'm a pathologist, but I'm also a geneticist. And I have patients that bring their test results to me, and we interpret it again in the context of their health, their personal health and their family health. But you can, look at the websites as well. I really would encourage your viewers to look at each website before they send any sample to a laboratory.
All right, thanks so much for all of that information.
Sure.
That's good stuff. I liked hearing that one.